Hello, hello.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hello.
How are y'all doing today?
Good. What's happening? How have you been?
Good.
Pretty good. It's been beautiful weather here. How about you guys?
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen the light of day. I'm in my subterranean lair. I haven't. Tell me of the sun. What's the strange ball in the sky that emits heat? I haven't seen it. Um,
You see it from
uh,
windows usually.
yeah, just
Windows.
head down grinding. I feel like I hadn't seen you in 2 weeks, Amy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's been that long.
No, it's only been since yesterday, but it's okay.
Uh, so I blocked it out like an abuse victim. No, just been super busy. We've been grinding, lots of engineering, lots of plans within plans. We've been busy, lots going
Absolutely.
on. I'm trying to decide if we want to talk a little bit about. Um, it seems like it's a good time to talk a little bit about the discovery process, what goes into where are we pulling some of our facts and info for some of our upcoming projects. I'm just trying to think of a clean way to kind of cliff note it, so I don't get too techie with it or boring. But I feel like I've already teed it off kind of boring.
There's
So
a
so we're talking about the 20 some of the 20,000 leagues under the sea stuff we're working on. In particular, the spear gun, the sonic. What is it officially called, Jared?
electrosphere.
Electrosphere. Yes. So we're working on that, and there's just been so much info. For some of you guys who watch these regularly, we did the field trip. We took the pilgrimage down to the archives and studied some of the pieces they have 20K related, and in one of the electrospheres. Uh, we scanned a bunch of pieces, demystified some parts, and what's interesting is it's no different than anything else. I'm a big Star Trek TOS fan, so I could talk to you to death about all the different communicators and the different shells and moray patterns and all these things. And what it boils down to is, continuity. Just wasn't a thing back in the day. They didn't know people would be nerding out on what they created 50 years ago, and here we are. So with no real build diaries, a lot of this stuff can easily get lost to time, and it leaves us in a position where we're kind of doing this prop archaeology, kind of left to interpret what's left, and what was changed or moved around through repairs and that sort of thing. And when you study something like the electrosphere, no two are alike. The spirit is the same from piece to piece. I mean, people have replicated these for years. Most people will go to the blueprints, the old Disney blueprints online, and sure, you can follow those and see that the spirit of that blueprint lives in every single one of the surviving props and the reference. And whether we're looking at paper reference, behind the scenes stuff, or physical remaining pieces, they're just all they're just all different. As simple as that. Some of the greeblies present on one just are non-existent on another. There's simple things like the even the sights from one prop to the next. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. Uh, you want to think, well, maybe it fell off on this particular piece I'm looking at. And then you can study the prop and see, no, there's not so much as even a weld. And these things were heavily welded, lots of welds, lots of cast parts, lots of metal. And you can see, no, it just didn't exist on this piece. And yet it's here and it differs there. Lots of utilitarian build work. You can tell these guys were just working out a tool chest and whatever they had on mind, whatever they had on hand, rather. Let's use this rivet shell as a sight post. Crazy little things like that. So part of our challenge has been, you want to capture what your mind's eye remembers from the film, and then what's going to be, how can you be the best steward, the best custodian of all this information you've acquired and this privilege you've had to study these pieces, and then turn all of that, interpret every bit of that knowledge into what you want to be the perfect replica. That's the challenge, and this one's particularly hard. Like I said, most of the time we'll get a piece, you study on it, and this is emphatically how it is. This is what it is. Something like the oxygen destroyer from Godzilla. It is what it is. It exists. That's the one. Well, there's two, but one actually opens and one doesn't, and then but the sizes are the same. These things, man, they are everywhere. Jared, you want to talk about some of the stuff that you like, some of the stuff that you've been perplexed by, maybe?
Yeah, it's a good deal of cinema archaeology for sure.
Yeah,
And it is man, it's a thing to find what you feel like is wow, that's it right there. There it is. That's 100% what's there. Then you
yeah.
see another picture of what you think is the same prop, from a different scene or some kind of behind the scenes image that you have, and you're seeing something different. You're like, wait a minute. And I know, I think you kind of summed it up pretty clearly with the blueprints are like the source. That's the inspiration for the makers. And they kind of do what they have to do to make that work and capture the spirit of the design based on that blueprint. And along the way, they might run out of something. Oh, I don't have that part for this. I got to substitute something that looks like it. And when you're making a feature film, you're making multiples. As you can see in the film, each of the divers is carrying a rifle. They're in the back too when they're loading up and getting their gear on. You see rifles on the back. So there are multiples made, and in those multiples, different materials get made, I'm sure. And even though they're robust, the things are metal. And I think they had to be because they were filmed underwater, real in the ocean. They went out in the ocean and they dropped dudes in the water and said, "All right, go around, do your thing." Those things got beat up. They undoubtedly got beat up. Guys in big, bulky suits with metal helmets and those giant gloves, and they're smashing them into coral reefs and stuff, I'm sure. So there's repair work that's going on during filming. Oh, we got to
Wood
fix this one.
screws, lots of wood
Yeah.
screws.
Okay, it's good to go. We're filming in 10 minutes. Go. The madness of being on set, the hurry up and wait of it, I'm sure factors into a lot of how these things are made. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's been I'll never profess to be an expert on any of this, but I feel very well versed in it now. So if I was ever on a panel, like talk about the this prop and how this was made, I would feel pretty confident that I could spin a
Yeah,
yarn for about 10-15 minutes on it.
yeah. You might do well on the game show. Yeah.
Exactly.
Something that never occurred to me until you guys just said this. Since they did film these underwater, how do you feel like that affected the pieces that you guys were able to go and scan and take measurements from? Is there long-term effects of salt water on these metal props that are 70 years old?
It's funny you would say that because a couple of the things we marveled at was where there's a patina, it's fake. There are rifles out there. Or there's one in particular that was sold at auction. That's got a pretty hard. I should elaborate. That particular piece has a very weird, spongy patina on it that looks nothing like anything we've studied in print at the archives or in person. I'm not going to allow that out just because we could be wrong, but to Jared's point, we're pretty dialed in on all things 20K right now. I mean, we've been living it. Even if we're being completely honest, like this morning, I'm like, dude, we got to pop smoke. We're done. We are done. I'm so tired of staring at this. Here's where we're down to now. And you guys who love this piece and are dialed in on it, or even if you're just the casual fan, because this is one of those pieces. 20,000 Leagues is everybody knows what 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is, even if just tangentially, right? It's in your periphery. You're familiar with it. Collectors have always loved the helmets and the electrosphere. One of the pieces that drives us nuts. So on the front of the prop, we refer to the front as the basket. That's where you see the tines, if you will, the blades, going like that. There's a ring in the middle. The front, the business end of the prop,
It's
just
like a
behind.
cage.
Yes, just we refer to it as a cage. Just behind that, there's a piece of aluminum that's got little holes in it. Looks a bit like a flash suppressor. Now, from prop to prop, you might see that positioned sideways. You might see it positioned on the top. So that's one of the, and there's no rhyme or reason. It just is or isn't one way or the other. And there's a set screw that holds it in place. So we can theorize that. I mean, sometimes you'll even see the sight in the rear of the prop bent to the side, or again, like I said up front, non-existent. You could draw a lot of theories. You could say where there's a little set screw that holds this piece up front and connects everything to a black rod behind it. Um, it's just torquing down on metal, so it would be easy for it to get twisted. So in some of those photos where you don't see a sight, you could reasonably conclude that it was twisted to the side and it's just out of frame. It's just out of shot, and that's why you're seeing the holes at the top. Or maybe the guy who was building it just didn't put it on. I mean, so many things. But one of our challenges is, okay, which looks better? Do you like it with the flash piece positioned up top, or do you like it turned to the side? You see it both ways in the film, so it's a judgment call on how you want to place it, because who knows how many people worked on it. One guy may have been well overseeing it, of course, but you've got your individual guys who are just, like Jared said, prep and go, just sending them out, holding these things together. But back to your point, Amy, or your question rather, no real signs of patina on any of those, because they're painted. So where you see like the rings, if you will, that look like cut brass in the top, they're cut aluminum that have been painted. Even the rear of the prop, it's all cast aluminum. A lot of cast parts on there, which would make sense. Doing things in a hurry. But simple machine work, mill and lathe work, throughout the prop. Lots of rivets, and paint. The aluminum didn't have time to pick up any real patina. You see a little bit on the helmets, some of the surviving helmets, because of the material used. But there's even signs of a little faux patina on a couple of those that now could have well come after the fact, and the decades later somebody gets in there and touches something up. But there was the last piece we scanned. There looked like some drippy, some effort to weather, but not so much as give it that green patina like you might expect.
It almost looked like wood stain was, or some kind of wood stain oil was dripped
Yeah,
on it to kind of give that effect. But yeah, I think the rifle being made out of metal, mostly uh, aluminum, brass, things that do better in saltwater than steel. So it made it more survivable, I think.
and an all aluminum, a little lighter
Yeah,
than it would have been otherwise. But just it's little things like that. And the guys who have made replicas of this would, of course, find this interesting, and they probably struggle with this themselves. Where the stock of the prop in the rear kind of starts to meet the center cylinder, uh, there's a contour, if you will, from where the stock butts up against the sphere. Just simple things like the distance, but is it full contact? Is it an eighth inch? Is it a half inch? And the question is yes to all, because on which piece you're looking at, so the prop can gain or lose an inch and a half based on how long the cage is in the front and where the stock is in the back. It's an interesting piece, and again, a lot of people have studied. A lot of people have been there and dug in on it and recreated it. And yeah, the real challenge is, yeah, they all have the spirit of the blueprint, but from piece to piece, it can change radically.
yeah,
Um, uh, so uh, we're dialing that last little bit in. And it ends up being a cosmetic judgment call. What do you think looks best? What's in your mind's eye? What best exemplifies this piece if it's in somebody's collection for the rest of their life? How do we freeze that in time and do it the service it deserves? And the answer is simple. You just pretend, if it was being made now and you are working on set, you're the prop master, how would you best interpret those blueprints and bring that piece to life? And
yeah.
that's kind of, oddly enough, falls on us now. to do that. Since the piece has never been licensed before, it's never been realized, especially with this level of detail. And if you guys saw everything that went into the archives visit, this was securities. They take it seriously, how these pieces are handled and everything that goes into it. So we're really proud to be able to have worked with them and put so much effort into it. But it is time to have it done. It is most certainly time to be done and send it on its way and get that thing back later
Yeah.
this year. Really, the last call is just edition numbers. We're trying to figure out how many of them we want to do. It's a lot of QC work to stay on top of each one of these. It's going to warrant a trip overseas to visit the factories working on it. We'll have to go to China, and there's a lot to do there. So yeah, there's a brief update if anybody was really interested in those pieces and you've been paying attention to it. We've had approved prototype photos, and every single time we get ready to launch them, something else pops up, and we're like, look at that. And then, or another opportunity presents itself. You guys want to come look at this one? So yeah, not as typically is the deal with us. Just sometimes it takes a little bit of time to do it right. So I think we're happy. Everybody's gonna be happy with how this one ends up. So yes, no patina, Amy, and no real sign. I mean, the props that we've seen are so old. They're mainly just they reflect their age, and they reflect some on the job, in the archive repairs, holding them together. But they're so protective of those pieces. I mean, their environment's controlled. The pieces are flipped to protect them from sunlight and just UV exposure. And you talk about a big piece of metal, and they don't want to change anything on it. They're not in there really touching up the paint or anything anymore. So it's interesting to hold them and just chronologically kind of demystify what's been done, maybe where this fell off and that was repaired. And I think it would surprise a lot of people to know how knowledgeable archives really are. Uh, as with other studios where a lot of stuff can truly be lost to time, there's a lot of truly educated and caring people who take care of these pieces. They have people, this is their job, is just to handle these pieces, be dialed in on the details of them. Hey, here's a mend that was done from that, but this piece was used here and there, and this is why it differs from XYZ. I mean, it's truly been an education and a treat. It's funny. I always say we're such a young company. We're finally getting to do some of that cool stuff we've been looking forward to. So yeah, it's nice. Jared, you got anything else to add to that? Because I know I'm kind of ranting about it, but we haven't really done a good update on it, so I wanted to run with it for a second. I'm sorry.
Other than I think we're getting this dialed in now. We're gonna make another prototype based on all the most recent information we've learned from our trip and subsequently researching it a little further and deeply. And I'm gonna say like within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we should have something we can share with y'all, and you can take a look at it and sign up for our interest list. Stay updated on when it's actually getting ready to ship to you.
And then the internet can tell you how wrong you are.
Exactly.
Wrong. But no. So it's exciting. We're looking forward to doing that. Uh, you know what? Apropos of nothing, because I was just looking at my bottom of my screen here, and it reminded myself of a question. I am starting to get this on the forums. You guys know I'm still over at the RPF, and I still like to participate on the forums. Had a few PMs about this. It feels so negative, but it does directly impact what we do. So we've always been pretty transparent and honest about this kind of stuff. Let's talk about tariffs for a second. And how it can impact what we do. Watch Jared, watch the life drain out of him real fast. I'm not going to, the only thing I want to say about it is the questions I'm getting is, hey, are your SRPs changing? Hey, with these, I don't know what companies are doing what, but apparently there's have taken, especially on pre-orders and that sort of thing. Some people's SRPs have gone up. They're trying to make up for that 20% tariff. As it sets right now, we're not changing a thing. So like our specifically the emails I got were, hey, are you guys going to be able to hold where you're at on your NV goggles? Where people have got on the reserve list, that sort of thing. Mr. DNA, the Chris knife. We got quite a few things on their way. Right now, we'll eat the difference. Simple as that. Long as nothing else gets too funky, I don't see any changes. And this is one of the good things. This is one of the good reasons of not pre-selling your stuff way in advance, because something shaky can always happen. And so right now we're cool. Um, we'll make it work. Jared, you want
Yeah.
to add? Amy, you want to
No,
add any?
we've never discussed internally changing any existing prices to compensate for this. We knew it was going to hit stuff that was planned and arriving that's already been announced, but I don't. It's never come up where we're like, oh my gosh, we need to raise the price on item X that we've already shared a price on. So yeah, that genuinely has not come up, and it's never been an issue. So
Yeah. I just didn't want to act like, I wanted to acknowledge the concern. People notice it, and again, I'm not pointing to any particular manufacturer. I'm just presuming there some people in the collectible space have changed some prices. That's all predicated on the new tariffs. No, we're not. Like I said, we're not doing that now. On future items that you guys haven't even heard about yet, you wouldn't know, because it's not like we're ever going to change our price. That's the
yeah,
beauty of that's the beauty of not pre-selling up front. You don't get yourself in a hole. Jared and I were talking about not the internal thing, like he was saying that's not really come up, but we were talking about the mechanics of it, in as much that it could be tough for the guy who's got the trickier margins, where it's not like there was a heads up. You've set your SRP, you know what your cost is from your factory, you know roughly what you're going to pay when this thing is landed. I'm going to make 25%, 35%, whatever your profit margin is. What happens to the guy who, most people are happy if they're just flipping Keystone when it's all said and done. Spend $5, make $10. Yeah, I mean, I see the possibility of a lot of projects getting abandoned overseas, because what good's it do to load it up, pay for the container and everything else, if you're crushed by the time you get it to the US? If there's no money in it, you're actually in the red. Why bother? So I
yeah.
could see it. I could see it getting weird. But like we've said, when Tom's on here, that sort of thing, we're whatever we make, we're doing anyway, regardless of pre-sales. It's coming anyway. So we're either going to get we're either going to get a bloody nose, or we're not.
And
And right now we're cool. What's
and
up?
interestingly, I was mentioning this to you earlier. Run some numbers past things and kind of calculating what the tariff does to us. And
Yeah,
I should say, it doesn't automatic like a 20% tariff doesn't automatically translate into a 20% increase on SRPs. I know a lot of
right.
people are thinking, if tariffs go up by 20%, prices go up by 20%. Not necessarily true. To someone trying to recoup that, if they're on a very thin margin, like you were saying, if they have a
Mhm.
huge PO, like millions of dollars, 20% is it's a big hit. And
Oh, Hasbro,
uh
the big boys
yeah,
are. I mean,
those guys work out so far ahead too. They've got store sets that are I mean, they've got the holiday season planned out and set right now. It's done. It's done. Product is probably on the water very soon. And their retailers are set in the numbers they've committed to, the prices. So
yeah. There's no wiggle room.
it's thrown a big wrench in their operation.
It,
Um,
it's
Luckily, us being smaller, being nimbler means we can kind of bob and weave with that a little more effectively. And
yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh my gosh, things are going up 20%. Not really, not for us anyway. So
Right, and that's why I kind of wanted to touch base on it, again, without pointing and that sort of thing. Hey, how people handle their gig is on them. to Jared's point, it's not a big deal for us right now. We can shoulder it. So outside of something just getting really crazy, stupid, um, we're cool with it right now. But make no mistake, the small business incurs the cost of the tariff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Despite what you might have heard, the small business, of course, does pay it, and it does make things tough. And everybody wants to be able to manufacture, do their thing in the U.S. Of course they do. When you save shipping and freight, the communication would be better, everything else. But the fact of the matter is, no matter how bad you want to make a thing in the U.S., as I've a million times used blow molds as an example, it's not just the talent went overseas; the equipment went with it. So for that to be brought back to the U.S. would take a new man. There'd have to be a new revolution. Yeah,
It's years.
yeah. It would take a lifetime. Not in our
It will take
lifetime.
years.
Toy manufacturing, blow mold, it ain't happening anytime soon by necessity. And the mentality of, well, people are getting tired of paying these tariffs, therefore we're going to bring that industry back to the U.S. Well, it would take generations
Yeah.
for most things. So there's a rant there without going too much further down that rabbit hole. The simple fact is no, we're not changing a thing on our SRPs. What's out there now is what we're sticking to. And if things get weirder down the road, we'll talk more about it rather. But for now, that's pretty much it. And I appreciate people's concern. So because it was put to me more so, hey, those goggles aren't getting any heavier, are they? You know, you know, well, they're expensive. And I'm like, no, they're the same weight. They're not going anywhere. And
Yeah.
I guess we can talk about the goggles real quick. Let's talk about that. So we just got a new sample. We got one of our new our last passes in, pretty much there. In fact, we're going to do kind of a long term. We were talking about this earlier. We'll do a longer video, a dedicated video for the NVs, and we'll just talk about a couple things because similar to the Electro Spear, you can exhaust yourself in the details, right? And we've literally spent days with the distances between hash marks on the lenses and the opacity of what a lot of people don't know on the front of the NV goggles. Most people just see black lenses with the little target, the little bullseyes on the front. What people don't get is behind those lenses are a little stepped. There's a whole stepped lens. It's very interesting looking up close. And you want from the real lenses that were used, you can. It depends on how you look at it. So little details like that, the opacity of that, we're really fussing with. And another thing, just a testimonial to the detail on these things. The diehards will be able to appreciate this. The guys, there's wonderful groups of builders out there who have tackled these on their own. And, there's been a creative artist or two who may have done a hobby run of these back in the day. So people do know about them. But one of the hallmarks of the goggle, if you're being a real stickler about it, is the strap at the top. It's a particular welding strap. If you know, you know. And it's got a milky white opacity to it, and they don't make them anymore. So, man, till you spend a few weeks combing the earth, looking for molds and trying to find dead stock, and then you ultimately find out you have to make your own. So we dug in and tooled up and made our own for the sake of milky white. You could buy a very close white strap. You could buy a gray
Or
strap,
gray. Yeah.
black
The
one.
grays are easy to find. They're all over the
Gray.
place.
It can only be gray.
Yeah.
But if you want that milky white, that with that certain little bit of opacity to it, well, you got to tool up and manufacture such an animal. So you can count on that strap being right on those goggles. You can, you better love that damn strap. Went into that thing. So that's a case of just yesterday. I was saying I'm done in the kitchen on the NV goggles. I'm done. I'm it's time to be finished on those things. So outside of just dialing in the little measurement on the tick marks on the lenses, We're happy with the. I mean, we even fretted over the light throw from the green LEDs. You can't just go in there and stick a crazy super bright green LED in there. It's got to have a certain angle of throw, a certain millicandela, a little brightness, and all that's been fretted just so. So I'm happy to have those done. So look for those soon. Yay! You guys will see them by summertime. What else? What else?
Oh, you just got to sample the Chris knife in. I know you haven't
Oh
seen it
yeah,
yet, but
oh yeah, because I want to talk about those again. Yes, yes. We do have our final sample. What we hope is our final sample. Hey, that's Tyler. We'll ignore him for now, though. I call
Oh,
him.
you should have picked it up and like put him
You know,
on.
I would have, but he probably would. I know what he would have said if I answer. He says a very particular thing whenever I answer the phone, and yeah, it's best we don't do that. So I'm thinking about it, how bad it would be. But
it wouldn't be PG.
yeah, it's so bad. It's a couple different things. He'll hit me with a line from The Hangover, and then of course I have to reciprocate, and then we both turn 12, so we will call him later. But yeah, so the Dune Chris knife, as we've talked about before, I never want to presume because so few people watch these things. Normally, if we had a larger audience, I'd feel like we were just being redundant all the time, updating on this stuff. But since undoubtedly only 2 or 3 people are watching, my mom and Tom watches, I guess.
You got to say hi, mom. Hi, mom.
Hey, mom. That said, you know what?
Yeah.
I have not said hi to Dreama in a while, and you know what? She'll text me later and go, "Why do you call me Dreama?" Did you guys ever do that when I was growing up? All the kids referred to each other's parents by their first name behind their back. It was never
Mm.
Miss So and So or Miss So and So. It was
For me, it
eh,
was always
what
friend's
Jack.
name, mom. Like,
Ah,
oh, that's Chris's mom. Jeff's
we would
mom.
we would very formally just refer to them behind their backs by their first name, and we were doing that from the 6th grade on. Like, you get in trouble with Jack, what Ann say about such and such.
I don't think I ever knew their first names. That's
I think it was
wild.
our way. I think it was we thought we were sniping them a little bit, just being a
Uh,
little snarky behind their back.
did you ever
But
do the thing though when you're trying to get your parents' attention, your mom's attention, like, mom, mom, and they're like, oh, what, ignoring you, and you finally just go to the first name, Marsha, and then they go, what?
no, I didn't do that. But yeah, my mom does get uptight whenever I'll because we've also worked together in real estate for years. A lot of people don't know that. So when I would have a client on the phone who maybe I was helping her with a client or she was working one of my clients,
Uh,
you don't want to say, "Hey, let me ask my mom." When you're a 50-year-old realtor.
yeah, not so much.
So hey, let me check with Dreama, and then
Yeah.
later on, once they get to know you better, they know, or she of course could always say, well, let me get my son to check on that because it's fine to make me sound like a gopher, but which I was a lot. But I would say, let me check with Dreama on that. My broker. So she does not like that. So I am certain the second this goes up, I'll be getting a text or a phone call, and then she'll always say, you should have told the story about such and such, or you guys have been on the phone when she starts telling stories.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it broke my train of thought. Yeah, so the Chris knife, is it a full sample packaging and everything?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Not the shipper box outer packaging, but the art box
Yeah, not that part.
is complete.
Oh, okay. All right, rock on. Yeah. Just so you guys know, sorry for the guys who've already heard this a couple times. The only thing that's been the holdup on the Chris knife was the metal greeblies. So we really fussed and fixated over the metal greeblies, and it's just the collar on the sheath and the butt of the handle on the blade. And
A
I
little
just
sheath too.
yeah, the tip on the sheath. So we just didn't want to chrome plastic or resin. That's all. You don't want to flick at it and it tonk tonk. Just plastic. It actually feels like a substantial, cool prop with the metal on it. And since it's supposed to be a sandworm tooth, it's got the right feel and look to it. It just makes it a lot more than it otherwise could have been. So we fussed over it and back and forth with some of the details on that. And then oddly enough, then we started fixating on the display a little bit, how we wanted the plaque. And, hey, only human, you slip into analysis paralysis sometimes. You just fixate and mess with stuff too much sometimes when you otherwise could have let it go. But in this instance, there was a right and a wrong way to do it. We could have released it cheap and simple, or make it price appropriate, which is what we always shoot for. So a cool piece, and more importantly, I still like it. Sometimes when we get to the end of the run, you mess with something so much. I've used the example before. It's like cooking all day. It starts out, the plan is great. I'm going to make whatever. And you're excited about it. And such and such is going to be on TV tonight. And then by the time you spend all day cooking it or hovering over the grill, by the time it's done, you're like, I'll eat some Fruity Pebbles. I'll eat this later. And that's sometimes how it is with a prop, especially when you're grinding. It's just one SKU after another, and you want to get through it. But fortunately, a good, healthy OCD disorder makes sure it ends up proper in the end. And I drive Jared crazy with it. So,
But in other news, the Hunter Seeker's in. That's in stock, ready to go. That came out awesome. So
way
all
to
you
jump the
Dune
fence.
fans,
Yeah.
all you Dune fans are waiting on the Chris knife, which will be here momentarily. The Hunter Seeker is ready to go. That thing is in
Yeah,
stock.
I really love the Hunter Seeker. It ended up great. It's everything we hoped it would be, and that's a good example of the juice having been worth the squeeze. When it was all said and done, it's like, glad we spent all that extra effort on there, and it ended up great. And then the only other thing we have updated, but I guess it bears repeating. Mr. DNA is done. We changed the box. We just didn't like the box on the last. Mr. DNA's been done forever, but when we got the sample box in, there was just a couple little things about it we just didn't. If we're being completely honest, I didn't like the way the styrofoam insert fit in the box. I just thought it should have looked a little cleaner, a little tidier, and we sent it back for a revision. So yeah, we'll hold a prop up just for the sake of the box. It's true. But the prop itself is done and cool, and a lot of you guys saw it at MegaCon. And it's selling very quickly. So if you want one, Sean will undoubtedly put pictures up. It's probably a good idea to get in on that. Get your electronic hand in the air. Join the list. That said, the NV goggles, we only did 750 of them, and they're our fastest selling item that we've done to date. So they are going quickly. More than half of them are already spoken for. So you guys would probably want to, if you think you might dig it, time to lock one down. I'm kind of hoping I'd love to see that be our first sellout before we ship. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yes.
I mean,
It'd be nice.
Again, that'd be good for us, but we're still new, so we're still making a name for ourselves. But that one surprised me, and I'm glad we only did 750 of them. It's just been a tough one to QC and stay on top of with all the special paint and everything. So yeah, a fun project, but again, be glad to have it in the rearview mirror. That is all I got, Amy. Unless you've got something, do we have any specials or anything weird going on right now I don't know about? Again, I just been head down grinding and
we don't have any current specials running, but I do want to take a second to just say thank you to everybody who has followed us lately. We've got several dozen new followers this week on our social media. I've been seeing our newsletter tick up daily. So thank you guys for taking the time to talk about us and share our stuff with other people, because it really does help. So just a shout out to everybody who's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly right. And we've just been so busy lately. We've gotten a few days behind on our socials, just again, just grinding as far as production work goes, and balancing having got done with one show and on the road for other work related things, and now getting ready for yet another show and some more travel. it's tough when you're a small company and you know this is the main production team, and you get spread thin quick. So we do appreciate that. It's nice to see so many people jump on board, and that's really why I wanted to spend a minute talking about some of the things we touch base on today. But that's really all I have. Like I said, we'll get a good NV goggle video together, talk about some of those little things. I'll show some of the different prototypes, kind of the genesis of the prop. Maybe we'll take it back to paint and early sculpt, some of the 3D miniatures. The reason we do that, and essentially how we get to final production. So maybe we'll make a thing out of that. Other than that, that's all I got. I would like to say hi to William Cat.
I was going to say, we have not said Happy Friday to William Cat yet, and that is just not acceptable to log off and not say hi.
It's not, and I'm a little concerned. I hope everything's okay with Mr. Cat. I'm not getting any. I guess he's not getting my messages. He's not getting my texts. I don't know what's going on there. I sent him this whole think piece about how, I thought it was a crime that he didn't get an Academy Award for Big Wednesday, and a hit list of those involved who I thought might be responsible for cold shouldering him on that whole affair.
He looks at his phone like this.
Him again. Him again.
What the?
But no. William knows I'm kidding. He knows. And
Bill.
I sent you that. Yeah. Well, I didn't want to seem too familiar. I didn't want to seem like I'm dropping names. But I know he's got that rib recipe, that barbecue sauce recipe he was asking me about. Let me know how that turns out, dude. But that's it. I got nothing else. So everybody have a good weekend. Call me if you need me. And if you want to be on one of these things, Amy, where's the contact? On our website. Just go to, where's it located? Where they contact you?
There's a link at the top and a link at the bottom called Contact Us. You can fill out the form, or you can email us at info@paragonfxgroup.com.
There you go. So if you want to be on one of these things, preferably around 2:00 Eastern times when we try to lock these things down on Thursdays or Fridays. So if you want to be on one and just ask us a bunch of questions or talk about some of the stuff you've got, or you want to tell us what we're doing wrong, how much stuff Jared doesn't get right, feel free. We'll have a whole chat about it, and I'll scold him appropriately or accordingly. So that's it. All right, we should go now. All right, you guys have a good weekend. Later.
Great one.
Bye.